Over the last couple of years, I've watched hundreds of YouTube videos on YouTube growth, learning from the best creators on the platform. To save you thousands of hours of learning, I found the single most important lesson from each of the most popular creators on the internet. These are hidden gems that will shock you and make you realize just how different these top creators really think. And today I'm going to share them with you. Starting with MrBeast. MrBeast talks about making 100 videos before quitting. He says that your first videos will not get any views. Your first 10, 50, or even 100 videos might not even go viral and barely get any views. The problem is that most creators quit too early, expecting results before they've built any real skill or momentum. MrBeast states that none of his first 500 videos got over 1 million views because, in his words, they were simply terrible. But guess what? He kept going. So the lesson is to think about your first 100 videos as your training ground. You want to make 100 videos while improving something each time. The second creator is Abdaal. He says to stop worrying about your niche in the beginning and that you will find it over time, stating that it naturally emerges through experimentation and consistency. An example he talks about is the architect versus archaeologist approach. The architect YouTube approach plans everything before starting: the blueprint, the structure, the perfect niche, everything. Just like an architect plans everything before starting to build anything. On the other hand, the archaeologist YouTube approach, which is the approach that Ollie recommends, is to start digging, exploring different ideas and topics, learning through trial and error until something clicks. He argues that the archaeologist approach works better. You make videos, test, see what resonates with both you and your audience, and gradually discover what you're meant to create. So the lesson Ollie gives is to stop worrying about your niche. You will find it over time. Next, Paddy Galloway. For those of you that don't know Paddy Galloway, he is one of the top YouTube strategists that has worked with some of the biggest creators like MrBeast, Red Bull, Jesser. He talks about the 80% rule. The core idea is that you should aim to interest 80% of your audience 80% of the time. As you see, there are two parts to this rule. Let's go over the first part. Aim to interest 80% of your audience. Let's take a look at this quick clip Paddy did on the Colin and Samir show.
Let's say you're playing this video game, then you're doing this video game, then this video game. They all fall within the category of video games. So you can say, I'm in the video game niche, but like, the percentage of people on planet Earth that play all three of those games is probably very, very small.
So basically, what he is saying is that many creators think they're consistent because they stay in one niche. For example, the gaming niche. But the problem is their videos target completely different micro audiences within the gaming niche because they're always jumping from format to format. Each new game is a new format. You want to stick with a content strategy that aims to interest 80% of your audience with each upload. So now that you know this, let's go over the second part of this rule. 80% of the time. What this means is that you want to follow the first part of the rule 80% of the time, which also means that 1 in every 5 videos can break this rule to explore new ideas and innovate. This approach allows you to focus most of the time on the format and content that is already working and that is of interest to your audience. But it also leaves 20% room to explore new ideas in case you need to pivot in the future. What Paddy advises is to milk and keep doing the content that is working until it stops working. So the main lesson in the 80% rule Paddy talks about is to aim to make content that interests majority of your audience majority of the time while leaving room for experimentation and innovation. Next up, Trahan. Ryan talks about a shift in how he makes content. It really is something I've never heard before. So the framework he developed is redemptive content versus exploitative content. Exploitative content is driven by numbers, views, and money. It focuses on retention hacks and performance and what Ryan refers to as winning by force, often at the expense of authenticity or the well-being of his team and other people. On the other hand, he says that redemptive content is motivated by love and service. Its purpose is restoration in the consumer. He describes it almost as a maternal approach to work. Content that serves for the greater good. What Ryan encourages other creators do is keep the same product or content, but shift how you make it. He says to do it with care, openness, intention, and love. So the lesson that we can learn from Ryan is to create redemptive content. Create for restoration in the consumer. This way you'll find genuine sustainable joy in your work, leading to less stress and burnout in the long run. Mark Rober's trick for viral content is to make the video so entertaining that viewers don't even realize they're learning. He calls it hiding the vegetables. Mark says to start your video with a spectacle. A viral video must trigger strong emotions. It needs to make you feel something, whether that is amazed, excited, angry, or makes you laugh. But it makes you feel something. According to Mark, the important part is that it needs to have high emotion and some visceral response. And we see that he does this with his videos. For example, his world's largest Nerf gun video or his domino robot video. All his videos do this. These high emotion moments grab attention and make the video unforgettable. Once Mark hooks the viewer with the big spectacle, he subtly delivers the educational vegetables, which are the lessons of the video. This makes the lessons stick with people while being entertained. So the lesson that Mark Rober shares is to use emotion and a big spectacle to pull people in, then teach them something valuable while they're being entertained. The next creator is Jenny Hoyos. She talks about being in a blue ocean versus red ocean. Basically, what the analogy is that you don't want to be in a red ocean, which is an overcrowded space where everyone looks the same. You want to be in a blue ocean, which is a space where there is very little or no competition. And how Jenny Hoyos explains her approach to finding a blue ocean is by carving out a unique space by adding your own unique twist and creating something distinct that leverages your skills and experiences instead of copying others. For example, early on, Jenny was into business and finance, so she copied creators like Graham Stephan, but realized that was a red ocean. Everyone wanted to be like Graham Stephan. Then she analyzed the entire business and finance market and realized no one was doing business and finance content for kids. So she bridged that gap and created her own blue ocean. So the lesson here is not to compete with everyone else. Find your blue ocean by combining your strengths with an untapped gap in the market. Next up, Cleo Abram. Cleo talks about the importance of a key visual and identifying what that is for you in your video. A key visual can be a personality like Casey Neistat or Emma Chamberlain, a product like MKBHD's tech, or a visual concept like Cleo's charts or animated explanations. She mentions the key here is to have self-awareness, knowing whether you are the key visual or whether something else in your video is the key visual or main character. For Cleo, she isn't the main character or key visual. She says she's the proxy for her audience that introduces the main characters. For example, sometimes the main characters in her videos are the experts she interviews, the technology, or key visuals like her charts and animated explanations. So now that you know that you have to identify a key visual, how do you know what a good key visual is? And Cleo says that finding a good key visual often starts by asking, how would I explain this on a napkin? The images or diagrams you'd instinctively draw to explain something are clues to your key visual. Because the truth is, a good key visual isn't just visual. It explains, it adds understanding or insight. If the visual isn't helping the audience grasp why something is happening, it's not strong enough. You have to ask yourself, is it answering the question and is it doing explanatory work? Let's take a look at an example she mentions of a good key visual.
The visual needs to actually help the explanation. If you see a video of a plane crash from afar, it doesn't necessarily tell you anything about why that happened. It's just a visual. But if you see a plane crash and it does a weird little dip and then it goes down again, maybe that dip tells you, the trajectory tells you something, and you can reanimate how that was happening, and that tells you new information. And you have to see, the visual is the explanation.
So the lesson Cleo Abram talks about is to have a good key visual and identify what that is for you, whether that is you, the personality, or something else in your video. Next, Colin and Samir from the Colin and Samir Show. They interview some of the top creators like MrBeast, Ryan Trahan, Casey Neistat, and their advice revolves around storytelling and script writing. They say that a lot of storytelling is about unanswered questions, right from the start of your video to the end of your video. So it's important that when you write your script, you think about this. Samir says that right from the start of your video, you want to start by validating the video once people click on it, but immediately move into opening a new unanswered question. And you want to do this all the way until the end of your video. You want to make sure there is an unanswered question. Once the final question of your video has been answered, the video's over. So the lesson Samir encourages creators is to make your video on paper and write your script first. Then film it implementing this strategy of unanswered questions. It will help you with your storytelling and retention. Next up, MatPat from Game Theory. He talks about a channel launch strategy I had never heard before, launching with 5 videos right from the start. Matt says the biggest mistake creators do is launching a new channel with nothing on it or just 1 video. And the reason being is because people will not have anything else to watch after the first upload. His theory is that this leads to low retention and watch time, which signals to YouTube that your channel doesn't keep viewers engaged. So what he advises is to launch a channel with 5 videos, leading to a first week of high watch time and signaling to YouTube that your channel is a great channel that will get people to watch and be engaged. And not only does it show YouTube that your channel is great, but it also shows your audience that you are committed. On top of this, Matt says you can show the value proposition, or essentially what the channel will be about, through those first 5 uploads. So you want to be strategic and spend a lot of time ideating, since in Matt's words, each video is a thesis statement for your channel. In other words, these first videos will let people know what they can expect from your channel. So the lesson here is to launch your channel with 5 videos so people have something to binge watch, and do so strategically, letting people know what your channel will be about through those first uploads. Next, MKBHD. He explains growth using the octopus analogy. Let's take a quick listen.
Told this octopus analogy many times in my history as a creator, which is basically when you start, you've got all these arms doing all these things, and all of them have like a brain attached to them essentially. But as you build a team, you kind of cut off one of the arms and hand it to someone for them to do full time, and they can do it way better than you ever could.
Essentially what he means is that at the start, you're doing everything: scripting, filming, editing, thumbnails. But over time, you want to build a team. Over time, you can cut off each arm and give it to someone else in your team. Someone who can specialize on a single part of that video and do it better than you. But there is another part of this analogy he talks about. Let's take a listen.
But there's also something you should know about the octopus. So octopi are already pretty weird, but they also have 3 hearts. And this is a part of the analogy, because that's the part that's core to what the creator is. So they can't cut them off. They can't be delegated. That's different for every creator. My advice is always to find what that is as soon as you possibly can.
So again, what Marquez is saying is that you want to outsource all the parts of your channel, but keep the hearts, or in other words, the soul of your channel. What makes the channel you? And you have to identify what that is for your channel. Is it your creative vision, your presence on camera, or your editorial decisions? So the lesson that we can learn from Marquez is to build a team and outsource most of the video making process, but keep what can't be delegated. So those were the top 10 lessons I learned from watching the top creators over the last couple of years. And if you have any other lessons you have learned and want to share them with other people, or if you have any questions you want me to answer, put them in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and click on this next video to watch a breakdown on how Ryan Trahan became the most popular creator.